with the space, they wanted them armed with laser weapons, handheld laser weapons. Now that shouldn't make sense to anybody. First of all, second of all, in the early 90s, the Army's Missile Command they developed a tunable laser system, and when it's fired, it emits. When it reaches its target, it emits yellow, orange, and red. When it intercepts its target, it begins to incinerate it, which turns to a brilliant white with no noise. It's almost like it vaporizes it.
Okay, so in other words, if a plane, so let's say the target was a missile or a plane, and this handheld laser weapon hits its target, and it doesn't blow it up like a Tomahawk missile would do, but it literally vaporizes it to the point that there's no sound, and the object is gone. It just gets cremated in some type of 11 seconds. You're saying that is potentially a weapon? Who? Are you saying Russia? It's in Russia. This happened in Russia. Are you saying they may have a weapon that can do this?
It's important to note, again, in the early 80s, the Soviet Union had the first handheld laser weapon. Despite their economic challenges, they never stopped developing these weapons platforms, which spawned the United States, in particular Northrop Grumman, to have a contract to begin to develop laser systems that could counter the Russians' highly advanced laser systems. They had highly advanced laser systems in the early 80s, established, tested, and deployed. Pastor, they have gone far beyond what anybody thinks.
Wow.
They never stopped developing this technology. And the U.S. was not the smartest nation on the planet. Most of our scientists are German, Russian. They come from India.
Norwegian.
And so Russia has a culmination of the smartest scientists on the face of the earth. And by the way, just to let you know, because it irritates me that people don't know this, Iran had the secondary guild of the smartest scientists on the face of the earth, and no one is heeding the warning of Israel.
Wow.
No one.
You're right. I mean, the Iranian nation is, they're driven. They're driven. They have brilliant minds, and then they have an ideology, an end-time eschatology, if you will, of the coming of the 12th Imam and the chaos that must lead up to that. They believe Allah will release the 12th Imam until there's a significant amount of chaos created, specifically Israel and or Jerusalem. And Israel's screaming, you can't let them have nuclear capability. You don't understand. We know what they believe. They say it all the time. But it's like there's a betrayal taking place. These 6 superpower nations, the United States, Russia, China, Britain, France, and Germany, are all negotiating with Iran. And you're saying, how can this go on? The danger of the situation.
Exactly. We have to remember Iran fought down not one, but a few drones totally intact and landed them. They took over the drone and landed the drone. Now, how does anybody do that? That makes no sense, to take over a drone and land the drone without it self-destructing. So anyway, Iran is highly advanced, but Russia is a clear and present danger. And they have been in position for a while now. This is why they're scoffing at the United States. Even today, they're scoffing at us. And that's just the beginning of a problem. These large flashes that you see, an EMP is a laser weapon. It takes effect over the course of seconds. An EMP is an explosion that does not give off off a brilliant light for that many seconds without a sound. But a laser will fire between 5 to 17 seconds at its target, tracking the entire time, emitting that light, and then it just simply incinerates the target. Russia has the capability. They not only do they have that, but they have air-mounted lasers. They have submarine-mounted laser systems that work. Somehow they work in the water, which is supposedly that's impossible because a laser can be diffused by liquid, so the beam would scatter. So they overcome this, and we're looking at highly. Go ahead.
Are we talking? And Wizard is not Wizard, but Wizard. I guess is talking about gravity beams or plasma technology. Is that what you're talking about, or something even more advanced than that?
Well, if we can remember the Zeus laser weapon, I don't know if anybody knows that. It was actually used in a battlefield, and it was highly effective. But then they went to they have the particle beam lasers. They have orbitable weapon systems platforms in space. They have observation platforms that most people think are UFOs, but they're man-made. They are mounted with laser systems that are highly lethal and give no evidence of them ever, triggering. We have a host. The world has a host of highly advanced weaponry, but here's the twister. Most of this weaponry is used to defend Earth from anything, okay? But something is going wrong, and it's beginning in Russia. Something has really gone awry, and it will likely spark a war because no one is coming. Behind the scenes, Russia needs assistance, and other countries are in danger also. And this is not being talked about. While the elite are preparing themselves to get off the surface of the earth, which is about to undergo something, and they fully know it, a war will ensue. Because we have trouble from both the ground and the air. And people are going to see more and more of these weapon systems. Now they use them underground also. The fight is just not on the surface, it's under the earth too. This is why people are hearing explosions. And by the way, I have to tell you this, if underground bases are real, and they have vault doors, because they're manufactured sealed, the only way to open certain vault doors are with high explosives, because the steel is so strong it's not going to ruin the steel. And it would be inefficient for motors to do it, so they blow the seals on the doors to open them up. And then they will weld them or lock them back when they're finished. Some people have stumbled upon these doors that are 22 feet thick, a 22-foot thick door, and the structures are hermetically sealed, which is why they have to blow the door, and they have secondary mechanisms.
22 feet thick steel? 22?
Well, they have to. They're not only steel, but they have to withstand